All right. Back once again with the ill behavior. Yo, fresh and fit, live and direct. Frank Castle, the cutter. I don't. Yo, I'm not quite sure exactly what is going on here. But let's go ahead and peep this, man.
Exactly.
So
how are you gonna tell me it's not real?
this is the perfect
She's
example of
just
how
trying to
men
say,
communicate and
like-
how women communicate.
So
We're talking about facts and statistics and how the
We
world
hear your
works.
facts. She
She's talking
agrees with
about-
your facts.
she's
She's just
talking
telling
about
you
her
how she
opinion
grew up and
and
that
how she
part of her
feels.
life happened.
And I'm saying
And it's
how she grew up.
obviously
It's
real.
not
irrelevant.
She
common.
grew up that way.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that is not
Her
common.
telling her little story, her little life story is not irrelevant. She's on a podcast. She's telling a little
This
part
is
of her life.
incredible. This is
remember,
incredible.
we're speaking generally to the masses,
Yeah,
right?
I
Generally.
understand
So generally
that.
speaking, that's
No, you
great.
don't
Right, and
understand
the,
that. No, you
and the,
don't.
my,
She's,
But
she was basically
it
the
doesn't
vast
apply.
majority
agreeing with you.
should
She's
see
just
both
saying
sides
that
of the
there's
story,
another
right?
side of the
Because
story too.
There's
that
more
more
than
people
one
should.
side to every story.
no.
What are
And
they
just
gonna
because
experience?
numbers are saying one
No,
thing
numbers
doesn't
are
mean
saying-
there's not another
You
side.
experience it, right? But what are they going to experience? Most people are going to experience single family homes, which is sad to say, but it's reality. And we're just saying, look, your story is great, but what's the point of you telling your story?
The point is that
More people
they
should be
can-
like her parents.
No, no. The point is that
Try harder,
don't
people.
think that that's the only way to go about the future is a single family household. Think about it that the opportunity still exists. And in fact, I'm telling you that it exists because I've lived through it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, sure, yes, majority may be one way, but it doesn't mean that the other way doesn't exist because
You
it does.
do
That's
know
all
that your
I'm
parents
saying.
grew up in a different time, right? Your parents are in a different, like,
Okay, but
era.
but me, I'm not, right? And I'm again, like
Are
I
you
keep
married?
saying, I'm younger than both of you.
Are you married?
So for me to continue
Are you
having
married?
that, no, like you asked me
There you
before,
go.
I'm
Okay.
single.
Your mom was probably married at your age, wasn't she?
No,
She wasn't. When
No.
did she marry your guy? Your father?
I'm not sure. I can tell you, but they've been married 40 years.
What?
The math
How
isn't
old is your
mathing here.
mom?
How old's your parents?
My dad's 70 something. 20 something.
So the
And
math
your mom
not
is how
right.
old?
They got married. I'll tell you this: they got married older than 20, than in their 20s, like in the age that I am. So
And they got married in Israel?
no, they got married in New York, actually.
Again, most people are not going to have the conventions that kept your parents together,
And I'm
religion,
not
family, all
countering
these
that.
things.
I'm just saying it exists. That's all I'm saying. It does exist.
So the unicorns.
But
so
it's
don't disregard it.
See, this is the thing. Like,
Yeah, but unicorns,
Like,
you have no proof of me. I'm telling you,
this is the
there's a
difference
living
between
proof.
men and women. Like, men understand that if their experience doesn't necessarily reflect reality, they're willing to admit my experience isn't valid in the grand scheme of things. Women, on the other hand,
You know what? For the
I
sake
want
of
my
the people,
experience to be
I'm gonna
valid.
let you. I'm
I
gonna
want my
let you have
experience to
this
be
one,
valid.
'cause
I want my experience to be
I
valid
don't
because
have
I'm
any more
special.
breath for
That's the
that.
difference between men and women. It's crazy to me
Yeah.
how, like, we just witnessed a masterclass, and regardless of how educated a woman is, her feelings are always gonna override what she says, even in the face of irrefutable fact.
Do you have a deja vu?
Yes, I do, to a degree.
You know
Wait,
what I mean?
No, I don't win.
Familiar? Same seat?
Oh,
Brody?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Deja
yeah,
vu.
crazy shit, man.
all right. Speaking
Oh,
of crazy
God.
shit, Twitch.
All right. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. All right. So we'll kill the Twitch stream, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I think that was that last exchange literally proves the difference between how men think, logic, ration, numbers, facts, women, feelings, valid. I'm cool too. Like,
Look at me.
yeah, like, I'm
I'm
very,
cool
like
too.
Statistics that are wrong too. So there's a lot of statistics placed that are wrong as well.
What statistic was wrong in this regard?
I'm not saying in this regard. I'm just saying
Yeah, but
just
that has
because
nothing to
Google
do with the
says it
argument
doesn't mean
again.
that it's
What-
facts.
what we got?
Just because Google says it doesn't mean that it's
Yo!
facts.
It's
There's a
not.
lot of
What
things
are
that
you
Google says
talking
that are
about?
wrong.
Like, this is like,
Yeah, Google. You can
This is just arguing to be arguing. I don't understand what these two girls are doing. Like, statistically, two-parent households are better than single-family homes. If you're teaching men, then you should be teaching men what to look for and what to want. And not to want single-family households, right? Like, this is all brain dead stuff. So what
Google a lot
stuff.
of things that are wrong, guys.
no.
Come on.
why
now.
are we arguing about Google?
That's a reliable source? Google?
this is a perfect example of
Exactly
like
my
deflecting.
point, right? Google's not
yeah.
a reliable source.
What are the facts that we
correct?
said that were
Yeah,
wrong?
nobody
Oh,
said that
none.
is.
What does that
No,
matter?
facts could be wrong.
Could be
or
wrong.
statistics could be wrong. Like,
Yeah, statistics sometimes
yeah,
can be wrong.
No, you're moving the goalpost. Like, and you just admitted that their facts aren't wrong. You're just randomly saying, well, now facts can be wrong. So what is the reason for arguing that if you're not arguing against this point? You're just moving the goalpost.
these aren't though. So what
But
was the point of that comment?
I never said statistics
Not you,
are
her.
wrong.
Yeah, her.
Her.
I'm just
She's
saying
trying
in
to sound
general.
smart, but she's
You're
not
just
smart.
talking to talk. You do realize this, right?
Yeah, you don't sound smart, man.
You're saying that guys are more logical statistic thinkers. I'm saying you can Google a statistic and still think that your fact is right, but it's not because you could just get
So-
If it is
statistics
a
off of
fact,
anywhere.
Look
if
at
it is
Fresh.
a fact, it is true.
You can
No matter
Google
what.
something and it could say that it's a
But
fact,
it is
but it's
kind of
not a
true
fact.
that women tend to like say things,
What
and
are
voice
we
things based
arguing?
off of their feelings and emotions,
Yes.
versus men who are like I said, they're more simple than
Not
they are
all
women,
men,
and
but
women
most
make
men.
the shit more complex.
Yeah.
That like, I mean, like the shit. Men are
Facts.
more logical thinkers. Like
Preach.
That's a fact.
It's a fact.
That's not
it
an
is a
opinion.
fact.
sister.
Like
Men are
it is
better deductive problem solvers,
I've
more
met some
logically sound.
non-logical men.
some.
That doesn't
Most.
just because
I've
you
met
met some
more
illogical men.
not logical.
Yo,
Marge, you met 2 men.
just because you
Two
met some
men.
illogical men
3
does
guys.
not change the fact that most men are more logically sound than most women.
I've met more men that are messed up in the head than women. I'm not gonna lie.
Once again, taking your personal experience and trying to extrapolate it out into the main general society.
I can only speak for myself. Like I said, this is my
Do
own
it
reality.
differently
So
than you
Incredible.
do
Well,
with
to
women.
be fair, I see cuts on her hand, so that's probably what's happening there too.
Oh.
I think that's not a topic of conversation that you need to bring online.
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
that's
you're
really
trusting
much
men.
my
I
business.
can't
Oh.
really
Fresh
trust
is
you
getting
as a man.
emotional. Relax, Fresh.
I'm just
Chill,
saying.
chill, Fresh.
Oh, even Chris.
The point I'm trying to make.
Even Chris said something.
This is when I go.
Well,
Because you, that was like a little bit of a long, that was like a line cross right there.
Did I
His feelings.
line cross?
Did I hurt your
Because-
feelings?
Feelings.
Your
Did I hurt
feelings?
your feelings?
What, you gonna mad?
No,
I guess
nobody's mad. I'm
feelings.
just saying that's not a topic of conversation. We're talking about certain
mean,
things
she-
that
she
we
has
should not
feelings.
bring up.
She's
Feelings.
yeah,
I don't
I'm
care,
so
that's-
fucked up too.
Well, then, I mean, just take a deep breath,
That's too
have a
far.
seat, and then we won't mention
That's
it.
not too far. Yeah, like that has nothing to do with
All right, well, I mean, she
anything.
can leave then.
Fucking
Yeah, yeah,
Fresh.
yeah.
We can leave.
You
You
gonna mad?
can leave.
Triggered. Immediately triggered. Now, I agree. I don't know why Fresh called that out. I mean, he's right. It's a red flag, right? He ain't wrong, but you know, there's some tact you should have, especially on a podcast. Maybe you shouldn't call that stuff out. But she is obviously triggered enough to get up and walk out. She can't process that and deal with that and just be like, you know what? It's none of your business. This is none of the podcast business. Let's move on to the next question, please. You know, and I'm assuming they would respect that, right? But instead, she's triggered and she's getting out. Let's see.
Just leave.
Stop yelling now. What?
That's
She's
fine.
about-
You can leave.
I did not
There's-
disrespect
there's-
nobody
oh my God,
here.
here we go.
You bring
I
I
up
think you've
my-
made your decision. You
Yeah,
can leave.
yeah, yeah.
It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Disrespect.
We don't care anymore. It's okay.
All right, goodbye.
Just-
Go
just-
cry.
just-
You can feel disrespected all you want, but what I will say is Fresh seeing that is no different than an employer seeing that, right? If you're going to babysit somebody's kids, if you're applying for a job, if you're, to be a hostess or a representative of a company or something like that, like people see that and, first impressions are a thing. They are a thing, right? And you may not want to talk about it, especially if whatever you were going through is still recent, but that it's your story, or as King Riches would say, live your movie, bruh. Live your movie, right? So I mean, you own up to whatever your life, whatever has happened and whatever you are taking control of, and it is what it is. But instead, it's an emotional outburst, and you're disrespectful and this and that. Like, was it too far? Probably. Yeah. I mean, it didn't need to be said, but it ain't untrue, right?
Please take your phone.
all right,
We're still here.
Yeah, she's there.
Incredible. Just take your phone
Okay.
and leave. I mean, Fresh.
I'm just saying, a choice of men isn't probably going to be the best. That's all.
What was that?
A choice of men won't be the best. That's all I'm saying.
That wasn't cool.
Oh man.
Like,
Yeah, she's hurt. Women be going through some shit, and this is why they say women. I mean, not why, but they say that women are on the most antidepressants that they've ever been on in human history. Right? There's a reason for that. There's a reason for it. It's not a good one.
hey, man, again, this is what I mean. This is a perfect example. Men are more logically sound than women. Look at y'all right now, all in your feelings. This is wild.
Who?
I mean,
Okay.
this proves my point.
I
Her.
mean, who? She
I
had to
mean,
walk away.
I don't know if
Yeah.
she's
I mean,
out
I can
now.
understand why she's
Oh.
upset about it, but I
Yeah,
mean,
that
like, it's
wasn't
kind of
cool,
like, I
though.
mean, yes, it was kind of like, damn, but like, damn, like, I don't know.
It was kind of damn, but like damn, like if it were a man and you were to say something, not necessarily about that, right? Because men take things differently than women do. But if you were to say something disrespectful or like something considered a low blow, I'm not saying a man wouldn't walk off the podcast, right? But I think the interaction tends to go a little differently. Hey, homie, hey, this is your show, King, but shut the fuck up about shit you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like however it would be handled. You know what I mean? But usually I would see it go that way versus just the
How to
expression.
like, I can't even, I don't.
Women are more
damn.
mature though.
And they're
Yo,
all
Frank
upset.
Castle?
Women are more
Yeah,
mature.
They're,
Fresh
they're all
Castle?
upset, all of them. And you know what? Like again, it's not like it's not a low blow. That I don't understand where that came from, but it definitely was a low blow. However, how do you deal with those, right? Like men tend to deal with these things a little differently than women,
They're more mature.
Well,
you never know what somebody's going through.
right?
Hey,
That's-
maturity. Hold on.
that's-
Maturity is
but
being
there's-
able to control your emotions
Look-
regardless of how you feel.
Understood,
He's
but
not
we're talking
wrong.
about relationships in life. There's no reason to bring up
Right.
something as deep as something you don't know what somebody's
This,
going
this
through.
proves my
Peep till
point
he
that men are
said
more
that.
mature than women. This literally
not
just shows.
Hey, look, she's gonna have to wear that, for the rest of her life, right? Or for a good portion of that. Those things don't go away, you know what I mean? And so a person has to be able to deal with these things as they come in life. And maturity is being able to handle the things that are the most difficult to handle, without allowing your emotion to get the best of you.
It's not about being immature, babe. It's not about being immature.
Emotional control is a component of maturity.
Yeah, because if you're not emotional, then there's school shooters. There's men who go out there.
like mature.
Especially
See, here's the
if they're
difference. Like when men are immature, there's serious consequences for it. When women are immature, they just walk off a podcast and complain.
But since when has
Like,
a woman
it's fine.
shut up a school? But that wasn't.
Actually last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. But a biological woman shot up a school. Yes, it doesn't happen often. Right? Because the society is built differently for women than it is for men. But it did just happen.
That's my
Anything
point.
to do with like.
That's my point. Like
the
men
time.
have to be
Like,
emotionally mature.
But that had nothing to do with the argument.
That
We're,
had
we're having a mature conversation about life and relationships.
And then on
That has
air-
not-
It was left field, 100%. It was left field, but this is how men have to deal with things. We have to handle things that come out of left field on a day-to-day basis. And when you're not emotionally mature, as a man specifically, if you're not emotionally mature, then the things that come out of left field on a regular basis can end up being your downfall.
Nothing to do with
She made up
anything
about
about.
a bunch of nonsensical points that had nothing to do with the argument. I said men in general are more logically sound and deductive problem solvers than women. She goes and says, I've met a bunch of guys that aren't logically sound. Do you not see the disconnect there from a
Do you not-
competence level?
Do you not see the disconnect about bringing up somebody that's going through something that's probably
but
way
can
You
I-
did the
can
same
I
shit
say
she been
something,
doing.
though?
But
You
can I
just
say
brought up a
something,
random
though?
thing too.
But can I say something?
What the fuck?
Can I say something?
Like
That's
he
fucked
did
up.
that to show.
That's fucked up.
It's no, it's not.
all
No,
I
it's
have
not.
to
No,
say.
no,
Because
no, no. How's it fucked up? Explain to me.
I
Just
just
because
said
he
it.
brought, I mean, can I say something? I used to cut myself. I used to cut myself about 2 years ago. And that's genuinely because like I wasn't mentally okay and I did not have the emotional control to deal with what the fuck I was going through. So what he's saying is that like he's proving a point that women deal like with their emotions and they make decisions based off their emotions and not being logical. I used to do the shit. I don't have the scars anymore.
Mhm.
But like I used to do the shit because I was young. I mean, I still am young.
Mm.
But like I just genuinely thought like the world is against me. Oh my god, the
Yeah,
world is. But
but
I was
we
living in my
don't-
fucking
but-
car. My
but-
parents are multimillionaires. I was living in my car, and I went through a whole shit that I went through. So I understand why. I mean, yes, it shouldn't have been brought on the internet. Okay,
Right,
so
that's my
what?
point.
No,
But my whole
yeah.
thing is that like what he's the point he was just trying to prove a point and things that she wasn't listening.
Yeah, but
So it's like the point he had to go that far to be like, okay, you women make decisions off of their emotions versus men being logical thinkers. And the fact that he had to go that far because she wasn't listening, that's just what the fuck it was.
Yeah, and the reality is, even though I think it was a low blow, and he definitely didn't need to bring it up on a podcast, doing what she did to herself is acting out of emotion and not logically. You know what I mean? Understanding that your problems you're able to overcome your problems. You just have to, put some effort into them and decide what's important and focus on those things and build yourself up. Like these are all things that you have to do to mitigate or to deal with problems that occur in your life, right? Doing that to yourself is a sign that you are unable to control your emotions. You're allowing your emotions to dictate your actions, and that is a sign of immaturity.
She kind of proved this point by walking out and being
Yeah.
emotional in
Yeah,
the first
pretty
place.
much.
Like, it
And
literally
there.
proves our point that
Yep.
she couldn't even control her emotions, yet you guys were sitting here arguing that women are more mature. I would argue it's the other way around. Like, it is what it is. I mean,
But that had nothing to do with the
yes,
fact
That's
just
the
like
whole
that's
point
the
of what
point.
she did earlier.
She brought see how you guys didn't say fucking shit when she brought up a bunch of retarded shit that had nothing to do with the
Oh my
argument. He
God.
does the same thing. Whoa, this is so
I hurt her
messed up.
feelings.
He
Yeah,
brought
the reason why they ain't saying that is because all the dumb things she brought up weren't personal attacks on somebody's character or behavior, right? Whereas she took what Fresh just said to her as a personal attack by airing out her dirty laundry on the internet, right? So there is a difference. Like they're having this live right now, so he'll probably go back and think about this portion of it. There is a difference on the topic, right? He could have pointed out a different flaw, you know what I'm saying? Something that wasn't so to the core, right? And blasted her stuff on the internet. But he ain't wrong about the emotion thing.
up another point
Bruh.
that had nothing to do with the argument to
But
a degree.
it's not about disagreeing and like hurting somebody's feelings. That's like something on like, that's not something that you bring up to like the public.
See, this is what
I
I
like-
mean.
I mean,
Women
it's on
enable each
camera.
other's stupidity. Bro, she was being stupid. He checked it. Y'all are sitting here defending and
Okay.
enabling her stupidity.
You're right.
This is why girls, a lot of the times, like, aren't held accountable. Y'all say dumb shit all the time to each other. No one checks you guys. It's crazy.
Bruh. I just find it hilarious, but
Crazy.
it's fine.
You know what I mean?
These guys aren't wrong about what they're saying, okay? But the argument that the current thing that he did to prove the argument was not above board. It was a low blow because again, he's airing her personal dirty laundry out on the internet. Now I just made a reaction video to her and this situation. Everybody knows now that she commit self-harm or whatever, right? And so that is extremely personal compared to any of the other things I talk about. It's one thing to talk about how many bodies you got or, whether or not you would sleep out with somebody on the first date or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. It's another thing when you're like, committing self-harm and then airing that out on the internet. Anyways, Frank Castle was in the building. Fresh Castle, did he go too far or was his point valid? You be the judge. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good one.